Welcome to Blue Collar Reformation. PBR here, again, talking about the accusation against Christianity that it has been hijacked by the Orthodox Church due to the conversion of Constantine. Uh, Basically, the Council of Nicaea being a codification of orthodoxy because it was to the victors go the spoil. So I've been talking about this last time, I'm going to talk about it again today. But basically, the Orthodox Church, the claim is the Orthodox Church hijacked Christianity at the time of Constantine, so around the 300s AD, 4th century, early 4th century, because Constantine was Orthodox, and really to the victors go the spoils, and so they were able to squash all their theological opponents. That's the thesis that most people hold about Christianity today, very popularly. They see it on the History Channel. There's all kinds of specials that have been done on this. People have been pushing this for about 100 years and really trying to push for a reinterpretation of the history of how the Orthodox Church came about, how the creeds came about, how the ancient church was studying the scriptures, and how the transmission of scriptures came about. Along with this, there's a second thesis, a sub-thesis, which is that the bias toward a uh, mystical and a pantheistic internal spirituality must be, must of necessity be what the so-called real Jesus was teaching in the New Testament era, and that was eventually superseded by a more rational and revelational and ecclesiastical religion of the Orthodox later. Then a couple pieces of evidence. The first is that there are textual variants, and the second is that there are a lot of different groups that were vying for acceptance. And we'll look at those in turn. But I want to start by really responding to the first major thesis, the main thing, which is the claim that basically Constantine invented Christianity, is usually how people put it. They'll say Constantine invented Christianity, which is like really, really ignorant to history. Constantine did become a Christian. He was a man in his times. He converted to Christianity, but he was following along with a lot of the things that were already sort of a little wonky in the Eastern Orthodox Church, such as they didn't baptize people until death. And so Constantine was baptized upon his death because that's what they did at the time. So that really departs from clear New Testament teaching. Uh, so the Orthodox and the Catholic Church didn't get everything right at that time, but which is clear from the New Testament. But the main thing to show is just simply that the Orthodox Church did not hijack Christianity. Instead, they were trying to expound upon the Scriptures. So this is the thesis. Basically, Orthodox Christianity hijacked Christianity at the time of Constantine because Constantine was Orthodox, and it was an opportunity to basically crush all their enemies. So here's the answers to this. First off, it's a terribly naive view of history. Yes, victors write history. Yes, to the victors go the spoils. But it assumes that there's nothing true about anything that was recorded by the Orthodox whatsoever. What we do have from the Orthodox is arguments against their theological opponents, and they are all working from the same basis of the same scriptures. So you have this and that, and they are in opposition, and they are interpretations of scripture, and they're trying to make sense of the information that's before them all. And what this does is it gives us an understanding of the motive for both, like, let's say the Arians and for the Orthodox at the Council of Nicaea, is they're trying to define what is God and who is God. Like, so is the Son really God? Was there a time when the Son did not exist? A time in history? And so basically, the Arians are trying to make a explanation of the New Testament text because something new is revealed, is that God has a son and he's taken on humanity. So they're trying to explain that from that same information, from that same source. And it is a terribly naive thing to say that basically to the victors go the spoils, and therefore they control the narrative and they can just say whatever they want unchecked. That's not how anything ever works. You can't just make up whatever you want without it ever being corrected by somebody. Somebody would have called foul at some point. And the fact is that the arguments are made back and forth in the primary texts between these groups, and it has to do with very clear lines that they are all drawing on the New Testament and trying to argue over what it means. Second answer would be it assumes that there is not an objective reality that the Orthodox were generally more accurate with their handling of the New Testament. It basically assumes that there must be somebody else who is more accurate to what the original Jesus, who we don't have any access to what he wrote, said. So we don't have anything that he said. All these texts have been corrupted, but there must be something else that was said because that is more what I believe in. So what it is making up a theoretical Jesus that you have no evidence for, that you're claiming must have existed because he would agree with you, rather than accepting that the evidence that we dig up from the ground, we find in old libraries, that is the accurate information about Jesus and who he claimed he is, that we have information about to draw conclusions from. So that's another answer to this. Third answer is that it assumes a zero-sum game, that the Catholics are completely wrong or the other groups are completely wrong. It assumes there's a completely correct, utter, complete win for one group and a complete loss for the other, rather than saying that by and large, the Catholic or Orthodox position was accurate with regard to the Trinity, that they said what they could say as far as they could at the Council of Nicaea and at that time, and they didn't go any further. But to say that everything in their system was true and good. There are all kinds of things we can already tell at that time that are becoming corrupted. Things in church government, things in church practice, some of the declarations of what they would say about like celibacy of priests and things like that are already beginning that, really are unbiblical and anti-biblical. So the first thing to do is just to point out simply that we have several answers for these that just come from common sense. You have more accurate groups, less accurate groups. You have the objective reality that the Orthodox were more accurate with the text of Scripture that we clearly have. And third is that it's a terribly naive approach to history to basically say that to the victors go the spoils, and therefore nothing they record ever is accurate. So these would answer that generally from common sense, but actually they have a lot of legs and evidence to them as well from the ancient documents that we have. This is PPR signing off. Thank you for watching Blue Collar Reformation. We are here to equip you with wisdom of the Word. The aim is to apply the system of doctrine taught in Scripture to every square inch of faith and life. We are on Twitter and Substack for your sake. Links are in the description. Share with your recalcitrant and reprobate friends and family freely. Blue Collar Reformation is a lightweight and mobile outreach platform. Take it in hand and enter the fray. Godspeed.